Tonya are my morning coffee.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another awesome edition of My Morning Coffee, where the conversation is always hot, bold, organic, and full of flavor. And today, we promise not to disappoint. Make sure that your time is spent well with us. And we're going to have a pretty cool guest here today. Some of you may recognize him. You know, when you see people and you're like, I think I know who that is. Maybe. So today you'll find out exactly who that is and what he has going on now. But before we get into that, you know, we had a pretty awesome panel last night of African-American police officers. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, please step over to either Stand Shores or My Morning Coffee and check it out. We would love your input. I think it's important that we continue to have conversations about difficult situations and difficult issues for understanding purposes and to build more humanity with the badge. Ms. Gia, what did you think about last night?
What did I think about last night?
Mm-hmm.
Last night was interesting. I always have fun with you, Tonya, but it was always good to see my fellow law enforcement officers that are also part of the Blow My family. It was interesting. We talked about a lot of different things. We thought we were going to talk about, I'm sure a lot of us thought we were going to talk about some of the recent shootings that took place, but we didn't really touch on that. We talked about some other things, but and all in all, it was a good. I thought it was good. It's always good chatting with you guys about the career.
We've always been had the Blue and White family, so Sigmas and Zetas that are members of the law enforcement community. I think next time we open it up to others that may not be a part of this this organization. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, that would be good because there's a lot of other police officers that are in part of the D9. So we would love, that would be good to get their take on a lot of stuff, see how they're feeling, and with all the stuff that's been going on within the last, year and a half.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, you guys, if you have any questions or any recommendations for African-American officers that you might know, definitely put it in the chat, looking at doing that and developing that conversation a little deeper. And yeah, that's it. Go check it out. Lean into the conversation. I think it's pretty important. So without further ado, we're going to bring on this morning's guest. He is actually a talk show host now of his own show. You have seen him probably on commercials, on magazine covers, and now he has his own show, The Sherard Show. So without further ado, let's welcome. How you doing?
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. We're good.
Good to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me this morning.
Well, I want you to go ahead and lean in and let the people know about your show, what you are doing now, and what's in your cup. What is in your cup this morning?
Well, I am, the Lord blessed me to be the host of the Sherard Show. My show is a show about fashion, entertainment, and music. I've been privileged enough to interview the biggest stars and celebrities in the industries of fashion, entertainment, and music, just to hear their compelling stories of how they triumphed, the ups and downs of the industry as well. And then also giving lessons and teaching individuals how to avoid the same mistakes I may have made in the industry as well. And then also with the network, my television network, it airs on my newly launched network called Essence Television. So just excited about having the network to be able to showcase wonderful talent and to be able to hear their stories as well. When it comes to my cup is tea. I have Lipton tea in my cup. I need it, believe you me, because every day, as you all know, you're always fighting and struggling, when it comes to starting out your day right, fighting with, just getting things set for the next episode. You're always thinking about 3-4 episodes ahead of time, and you need your tea, you need your coffee to be able to keep you going.
Now, let me ask you, what kind of tea is that? Is it caffeinated? Is it green tea? What's your favorite?
My green tea. I love green tea with a little lemon in it.
With a little lemon in it. I love it. All right, Miss Gia, what's going on with you? What's in your cup this morning?
Hey, Tonya, I think you're breaking up. So Sherard, can you talk a little bit more about your show, your TV show? Is it a TV show or is it a podcast?
It's a television show. It airs on check your local listings, but it does air on my network, Essence Television. You can add it on your Roku, or you can also see it on your Fire Stick. And then also the episodes air as a podcast on iHeartRadio. So if you miss it, you can be able to listen to it on iHeartRadio. But my vision behind it, Gia, is I always, being in the industry, being in fashion, modeling, and acting and things. I originally started off in Chicago. And it was a tough road, being in the industry, because you get a lot of scams, you get a lot of people doing this and doing that, trying to take your money and not producing a product. So my thing was, I said, Lord, if you bless me with some success in this industry, I'm going to write a book about it and do it on a television show as well. So he blessed me with success in the industry. And I now have used my platform to teach individuals about the industry and educate them, and then like to have celebrities back up the stories we're speaking about, because a lot of times they've gone through the same things we're going through right now.
Oh wow, that's really cool, and I would love to hear more about the industry. Not that I'm in this industry, but I call myself a fashionista, and so I dabble a little bit in designing, but I'm and doing a little bit of this and that. So I'm very interested to hear more about the industry and the ins and outs, because that's the stuff that people never talk about. We always see the glamorous life. We see the stars and everybody with the nice dresses on and nice outfits and stuff like that. But we never hear about, all the sweat and tears behind the scenes stuff that people that's trying to get into industry they need to know that, because it's not all glamorous, I'm sure. And I know correct. I'm sure it's hard to break into the industry and to have success and longevity. So I would love for you to talk more on that aspect for young people who are trying to get into the industry.
Well,
can you hear me really quick?
Yes.
This technology is killing me. Before we get any deeper into that, you got to tell me what's in your cup.
Me?
You. What's in your cup?
What's in my cup? I'm sorry, listeners and viewers. I'm sorry. I have coffee in my cup. You see, I have my Sisters Empowering Each Other cup. I don't have my morning coffee cup like Sherard has his cup today. I'm a little jealous. I should have used that cup today, but today I'm having this. I'm feeling a little empowered. It's been a minute since we've been together here on the podcast, Tonya, because I think we weren't here last Monday because we didn't have a show, and I was off in Vegas visiting one of my besties who's a breast cancer survivor. So that was a really nice weekend up there, spending it with her and her sister and her family. It's always good to hang out with your people that you've been knowing for years and having a friendship. We've been friends for over 30 years. We went to high school together. So yeah, that's I've been doing that, and then also, I've been busy since the last time we were on the cast. I've done the Nothing But Black flea market this past weekend, which was a lot of fun. And then also I did something different. You know me, Tonya. I always like to learn new things. So I ventured out, and this past Friday I took a tennis shoe making class, and I designed some Nike Air Force One. So I'm going to show them to y'all, let the people know your girl, she be doing her little thing. So bam, this is the shoe that I designed.
It is very Gia.
Friday. So yeah, your girl is, I'll be doing it, doing a little something different. So yes, I was excited about that. The class was really fun. There was a lot of young people in the class. I probably was the oldest person in the class, but I didn't let them young folks show me up. And I think I probably had the best shoe design at the end of the class. So yes. So that was fun.
Now listen, do you let these people know, even with all this creativity, what you do in your day job? Because I still am blown away by the fact that you carry a gun and you have a badge and you make stuff. I mean, do you talk about that ever?
No, I don't. I hardly ever talk about what I do in my day job, but in the daytime, I'm a lieutenant for LA County Sheriff's Department. I've been on the Sheriff's Department for 30 years. So I've been in law enforcement a long time. So yeah, by day, I'm a crime fighter, and by night or afternoon and night, I'm a designer. I'm a creative. So I make things. I make all kinds of stuff. I love making stuff. So
she makes her
I do a little bit of everything.
The other thing. I said, you make your husband crazy. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I do. You know, like I made this necklace I have on. So this is one of my necklaces. And also I made this head wrap. I make head wraps too. So, you know, I just like creating. So yeah, so Tonya always laughs at me.
All about the culture. All about
yeah.
The culture.
So you know, I can arrest you in the daytime, and then I can make you something nice in the nighttime.
Out of control. I love it. So real quick, what's in my cup today? I'm still got my cup from my wonderful soror, Miss LaSonia. She is amazing. I was thinking about my sorors this weekend and just all that us as a people have been through over the last year and a half. And Sherard, I definitely want to get into this and how you've been able to thrive throughout COVID and your organization, your nonprofit. But it just made me feel real warm and closer because I've been meaning to come back to meetings. That's a whole other conversation we could have. We should probably have a show about Greeks that don't go to meetings, but I digress. I want to come. We've just been busy. But it just made me feel some kind of way. So I got my coffee. After our conversation yesterday, I had some deep thought about solutions that we can bring to the table in regards to law enforcement and bridging some of these gaps with our people in law enforcement and the communities that they serve. So I got my coffee today. Got a lot going on for Monday and all that cool stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to bridge some of those conversations, particularly with Sherard's nonprofit. I want to definitely get into that. So, you know, it's time to really get into solutions and how we do better. Sherard, let's talk a little bit more about your nonprofit. Tell us about it.
Well, I suffer from lupus. I was diagnosed with lupus about 3 years ago. And I had, it was a tough period in my life, very tough period, because my form of lupus is called lupus nephritis, and it's where my immune system attacks my kidneys. And I was diagnosed with this. It was genetically. It's genetically. So it's interesting with this is my mom had it. She died of it. My brother did as well. So it skips every other sibling. Being that I'm the youngest, it missed my sister, got my oldest brother, missed my older brother, and got me. And so going from being perfectly healthy to all of a sudden, being in a state where you're spending most of your time in a hospital and being very ill and really struggling to do the things that we take for granted day to day, I decided in 2019 to come up with a nonprofit where that would benefit those who are in the industry like me or want to be in the industry, where I teach individuals who have lupus and other autoimmune diseases how to play the piano, how to read music, how to model, how to sing, how to act, how to do the things that normally they wouldn't be able to do because agencies would pass them over. So I would, in turn, me and my team, we teach people those things just to keep their dreams and hopes alive, because I refuse to stop in the midst of being diagnosed with this illness.
So you help kids, right? What I was reading is that you help the youth. What are you doing to get them through, I guess, the stages of their diagnosis and then being functional in life?
Well, with the non-for-profit, it's just basically taking them where they are and teaching them what they're most comfortable, what their dream is. Some of them always want to be taught how to fashion model. Some always wanted to be taught how to play the guitar, how to play the piano. Others have always just wanted to know how to read music. And a lot of times, people just pass them over, because they're sick. And so they never get a fair shot on a runway. They never get a fair shot in the acting audition and things like that. So I just teach them the things and give them the tools that if they still want to do these things, you're going to be trained and well-trained enough to know how to do these things, so that, people look at your gifts opposed to looking at your illness as a liability.
Let me ask you, going back to the genetic aspect of the disease, is this something, and I don't know if you know this or not, that your mother could have been tested for? Or, talk to me about the preventative. Is there anything preventative? Is there anything that maybe she could have known before to prepare for this?
Well, what is genetically, it's not much you can do. It's just the fact of the matter of being diagnosed with something that's in your bloodline. Some people, don't keep up a good diet, so they in turn get high blood pressure. But then there's people who just get it in genetically. They did everything right. They ate right, exercise and everything, but genetically they just have they're inherited high blood pressure. That's the scenario with me. My mom, the doctor felt, back then the technology wasn't as advanced now, so he just only could assume or only theorize that she may have had lupus. But it took me to be diagnosed with this to realize that she's the one that it started with from on her side of the family that passed it on to me.
What are some of the things that you that sent you to the hospital or to the doctor to get diagnosed? Just for the people that might be listening and not know that these are some things that they should be asking or telling their doctor about. What are some of those symptoms that really key into this could be an issue or a diagnosis of lupus that might be missed?
Now, there's different forms of lupus. Some lupus attack your skin, some attack your joints, some attack, like mine attack major organs, some attack liver and things like that, but it's all under the heading of an autoimmune disease. So autoimmune diseases is when your body feels that is attacking something in your body that's vital, but thinks that it's the enemy. Autoimmune diseases like HIV is an autoimmune disease. People may not know that. But there's lupus, and there's lupus nephritis, and then there's a lot of other ones, hepatitis B. Those illnesses are also autoimmune. But for my scenario, I was always very weak, feeling very weak and very sluggish. Always had really bad kidney pains, wondering what that was. So, when you start feeling weak and seem like you can't get your energy, you start feeling like pains that's constant, that don't go away. And then also the first telltale sign, is when your ankles and your legs swell. Usually that means that's a heart or kidney issue. My ankle and my legs, they stayed swollen for about a year. So that is the telltale sign that you need to get to the doctor about, something having to do with your kidney or your heart.
Wow.
Wow, Sherard, now you got me thinking. Shoot, I need to pay attention more to my body and stuff like that, because I didn't think about that when you said like your ankles swollen and stuff like that. That could be your kidneys or your heart. And so that's something that we all should be really paying more attention to, because that is important.
That is correct.
So when did you get diagnosed with lupus? You said again?
I got diagnosed May 6, 2019. I was misdiagnosed multiple times because the effects of things was feeling the symptoms of it was well back in like 2014. The doctors were misdiagnosing it and saying, it was things that it wasn't. So it took me to go to a nephrologist who in turn diagnosed what it was. Lupus nephritis is what it's called, but membranous neuropathy is another term of what it is. Because see, again, when somebody say they have lupus, you have to know what your lupus is attacking. But when you have membranous neuropathy, it's understood that your immune system is attacking your kidneys.
So Sherard, I want to get into some of the stuff your career, what you've done thus far, because according to what Tonya sent you read, you've been in a few commercials, you've been in some commercials, and you said you've done some modeling, fashion modeling and stuff like that. Can you talk about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. I was very excited. I started my modeling career back in 1997. There was a television show called Vibe magazine. It was called Vibe on, and my mom and I were watching it, and she just told me, you and your brother should get out there and start modeling. You got it. Tyson Beckford was on the show that day, and the next day I was in Chicago. I was at an ARIA modeling agency, to audition and things like that, and although I did not get picked up at ARIA, I still kept pushing on. And then when I landed my first gig, maybe about 98, I was modeling for Vital hair products. And then it led to me modeling with Luster products, Soft Sheen and things like that. And then like in 2001, I landed the national campaign that's still today, the do-rags, where I was the face of the do-rags. way back then. And you're talking about 20 years and they're still in stores everywhere. People see them in Afghanistan and Iraq and here in California, Chicago, they're everywhere. So I still get calls and texts at least once a week about.
Wait a minute, Sherard. That's you on the package of the do-rag?
That is me. That is me.
Stop playing. Get out of here. I'm gonna go. I'm going to look at the do-rag pack today. Get out of here.
I told you.
Yeah, that's me.
Wow.
So that's been 20 years ago, but it was great, campaign, and that led to so many other things because I was also on the product of Luster, the box of Luster Curl, as well as Duke hair products, and it led to the Chernin Shoes commercial. I did a national Chernin Shoes commercial. I don't know if it's out in California, but it was all over the world. And then I did Walgreens commercials and things like that. And then I also was able to own my own modeling agency in downtown Chicago for many years as well because of that.
So can you get into, I've always been curious about the modeling industry because I don't know anything about modeling or anything like that. But, there's a lot of people out there that want to be models. My bonus son he's a model. And I know, a few models and stuff. But I've never really talked to them and asked them what the industry is like, what's it like to get into the industry? How did you get into the industry? And how does it pay? Because I see a lot of people modeling, but I always wonder, on the runway, are these people getting paid to walk down the runway and things like that? Or is that just for you to have something for your portfolio, things like that?
Right. Well, the thing is this, again, you always got to keep in mind, being an actor, being a fashion model, being a singer are industries that are privileged industries. Nobody's going to be knocking on your door begging you to be in it. They may say you have the look and you'll be great for it, but nobody's going to beg you if you turn it down because it's a privileged industry. Modeling industry used to be just for Caucasians. As you saw in your Sears catalog, JCPenney, Weibo's catalogs in the 70s, it was mainly 90%, Caucasian women, Caucasian men. But the Tyson Beckfords and the Tyrese Gibsons are the ones that opened the doors greatly for Black people back in the 90s. And the industry, is one where you can make a really great living, but it's a tough one to break into because of, the persuasion that it's really geared for. But the thing is that Black people, and what I did was I found my niche, and that's what I always teach models. Female models aren't built straight up and down. Females are African-American women are curvaceous and God made you that way. And we men love you that way, but you don't try and be something you're not. Find your niche. So when I taught models how to find a niche, it really put them in a greater position. For example, these Black hair care product ads, they don't need a Caucasian person. They're looking for a Black person for that. And then, if you're not a model, a lot of people say, I can't be a model because I'm not tall enough. No, there's other variations of modeling. There's hand modeling, there's feet modeling, there's editorial modeling. Don't always think just runway. Runway is not the only facet of modeling. There's so many other things. One of my favorite shows is Seinfeld. And I always say, everybody doesn't have to look like George Clooney. They may be looking for a Newman. They may be looking for someone to like Kramer. My point is that, it's different variations of modeling that could make you a lot of money and keep you as a working model. Let me give you this last example. Kohl's catalog modeling, Sears, Montgomery Ward modeling way back in the day. Those models back then were making $3,000-$4,000 a week, and they were on a 10-year contract. They didn't change those models that often. That's why after 20 years, you still see my face on the do-rag. Thank God, because they don't change those models too often. So, a lot of people, they set their goals to be the next Cindy Crawford when, if they land in just being in the Kohl's or Montgomery Ward or Spiegel's catalog for 10 years, you didn't do too bad.
So now you're speaking my language. We're talking about identity branding, right? Using what you have and who you are to get what you want. And I wanted to ask you, since you have left the modeling industry, what have you kind of leaned into in regards to your brand? And what do you advise others to do, again, as they're trying to either launch or relaunch their own personal brand?
Well, my thing is my television network, Essence Television, is the first thing that I leaned into because I spent a long time, pitching my show, trying to get it syndicated by different networks. And, if you look at television today, you see that they're running things back from the 40s and 50s, which shows you networks are seeking some quality content. But I got tired of that. So I said, you know what, I'm going to syndicate myself. So I started my own network so I can syndicate my own television show and give an outlet for those who have likewise great content, but people aren't seeing it. There's some wonderful film creators. There's some wonderful comedians, actors, and everything that needs to be seen. And with Essence Television, that's what I'm giving them that opportunity for.
I absolutely love that. Step back for me one last time in regards to your modeling career. I want you to talk about how the industry has changed over the years from your perspective.
Yes. Well, and this is a very good question. If you pull out and dust off one of those old catalogs back in the day, I don't know, I'll just say, I'll say Sears. That's very popular. You'll see the models in those catalogs, are not too thin. They're just fit and they have a nice look to them. But you fast forward some 40 years later into the 2000s, and even in the 99s, models feel like they just have to be a coat rack. So that's why you see them so thin, so the designers can just hang their clothes on them. And models, that's why you still see a lot of anorexia and bulimia, because models feel like they have to be pencil thin in order to get the big gigs from these designers. But models need to understand something very importantly. Some shows are about the designer only. Some shows are about the model and the designer, and some shows are all about the model. So you need to, whatever your niche is, find that one. There are some designers, they're just showing their collection. They just need someone with a coat rack figure to be able to wear their wear. And then other other designers want you to work what they have, so that people can be wanting to buy it as you working it with your great walking. And then others, fashion shows are just about models looking for their next big gig. So they're wearing an outfit, but the designers out there are looking for an exclusive model for a particular brand of theirs.
So Sherard, I have a question about modeling, because now you started back in the day when we just had TV and VHS. Probably we didn't have all this internet and social media and stuff like that. So can you talk a little bit more about now? All of a sudden, you have people now, what they call, their Instagram models. And things like that. So can you talk about a little bit about, the Instagram model versus the traditional, the traditional model, you just got into it. Well, because that's the thing now. A lot of people, their whole thing is, I'm an Instagram model, and some of them are getting very famous by being Instagram models. So, I don't know, is there something to it?
Very good. Well, I'll take it a little further back, and then I'll come back to your point as well, which is quite profound. When back in the day with Johnny Carson, Ed Sullivan, David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, etc., when they were looking for a talk show host, you had to audition. You had to go through multiple auditions, and then they would make a decision if you were a good fit for late night, etc. Now, and this is what I ran into when I was attempting to syndicate my show, the first thing they say, how many followers you got on Instagram? How many followers you got on Facebook? It didn't matter that I just had Joe Montego on the show, the Isley Brothers. I had Mel Carter, some of the biggest names in the industry. They wanted to know, did you have the followers? So to lend to your point, in the modeling industry, if you have the look, or if you don't have the look, but you have the followers, they want you. So you have someone hiding behind a camera taking pictures, and now they're called an influencer / a model, and now they're able to make tons of money when they don't even know how to catwalk. They probably wouldn't even know how to do a rapid change to go into the next outfit, etc. So in this social media era we're living in now, as long as you have the followers, we're classifying you as a model. Don't need you to audition or anything. I just saw how many followers you have. And that soils the industry, because eventually the industry is going to correct itself. And that's just taking away the integrity of the industry.
Listen, I love what you're saying. It's hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
We have a story that we've been following on this thing I do every week. It's called PR Lunch Hour on Twitter. So if any of you guys are out there and want to join us, please show up on Fridays. But listen, we were talking about this influencer that has like 100,000 followers, right? And I'm sure she gets paid based on her amount of followers for whatever she's selling, shoes, t-shirts, whatever. And she could not sell 10 t-shirts, 100,000 followers. So when we are talking about influencers, how do you get these people, these brands to recognize that quality over quantity is more important? Because they don't seem to get it.
Very good. You know, and one thing that really troubles me, and I don't even know how to mention this one. The things have changed so much that make you want to shake your head. And for the young generation, the millennials, they don't see the difference because this is all they know. But you get a Jake Paul, who now he has all these millions and millions of YouTube subscribers. So now all of a sudden he wakes up one day and say, I want to be a boxer. So all of a sudden he picks on who he wants to be a boxer, and the business side of things say, you know what? Wait a minute. If we attach a brand to the 4 million he has, this can be a moneymaker and he can sell tickets. And so he gets in there, and he may be doing very good in boxing now with his 3 fights, but at some point he can possibly get killed out there if he gets hit by a professional in boxing. So it waters down immensely the sport, because it takes away, and I had a couple boxers on the show who were expressing this as well, it takes years to be just a decent boxer, not even a good boxer. And you get a YouTuber who has enough followers, and now all of a sudden he can get in the ring with some of the best. And it's upsetting because people like me, people like you who spent years on their craft, now all of a sudden I may have 1,000 followers and they have 10 million. Now all of a sudden they get a job at NBC as a host. That makes no sense to me.
So what do you say to these people that are going out of their way to do it for the gram? I mean, you know, they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, spending tons of money trying to look like they should be in a certain video or they should be paid a certain amount of money. And at the end of the day, it's an epic fail and there's a lack of authenticity. So when those young people come to you for advice, and it might even be old people now because they start to act up too, what do you say to them?
Well, the thing is, it's like the .com crisis, the .com splurge, when everybody was taking advantage of these technology companies making millions, and then they shut down, and then that's the end of it. People in this generation are just taking advantage of what it is now. Again, the industry will correct itself, but right now they're taking advantage of making millions off of what's a borderline sham, and it's very upsetting to people who've done it for many years. So it puts me in a spot where I have to reinvent myself and evolve in terms of how I teach modeling now. Because now, you know, instead of prepping somebody with the walk and the cachet, you now have to just say, as long as you promote yourself enough and get to where you got to be, they're going to declare you a fashion model. You know, it used to be back in the day, the Cindy Crawfords, you don't know, she became famous because she earned it through all of her, you know, people recognizing everything. So when you attach Pepsi to her, it sold. But now you have individuals who have 10, 12 million followers on Instagram and likes and all that. You put Pepsi in front of them, it'll sell more than Cindy Crawford, because this is the era we're living in. It makes you shake your head. But again, this is the era we're living in.
So do you think this era is going away? Because that's interesting. And that's the thing, that everybody's all about getting followers and things like that. And you're right, they're making tons of money once they get so many followers. But do you think that this is going to go away, or is this here to stay?
No, I think it's going to correct itself. I think at some point, people are going to realize we need talented, skilled, trained people like we did in yesteryear to be able to, you know, really portray the things right. Because there's a lot wrong with that. Just because they have the numbers doesn't mean that they're trained and skilled, you know, for longevity. Because you want to be able to keep an endorser who can endorse the product on a longevity, not just something temporary. In terms of, okay, I do this and do that and slap all this product in front of me. At some point, we're going to go back to the drawing board of making it about skill and talent. Social media is not going anywhere, but how we pick our singers, our boxers, our actors, our models, I believe that's going to change.
I almost look at it, Gia, like, they were using a lot of this technology to make people's voices sound amazing. They're not doing a lot of that anymore. I mean, either you sound amazing or you don't. And if people are going to like you, they're going to like you. But I definitely don't hear a lot of that auto-tuning like we used to hear. So like he said, I'm hoping that there's a course correction in this industry, because it's difficult. And the reason, Sherard, that I bring this up is because we were also talking about the public relations communications industry, right? There are people that just decide, today I'm gonna be a publicist, but they're doing things like selling articles to magazines, or making you pay for media that is supposed to be authentically earned media. There's a level of authenticity about when you get media coverage. You should be newsworthy. But now if you just pay enough, you get it, right? You're like, I can put myself in Entrepreneur magazine if I have the right contact and things of that nature. What do you do in order to pick the right publicist? Because I know you have someone working for you, because I talked to him, but how do you decide who is working for you? What are some of those key elements that a person needs to have to be able to represent you, someone that has a career in this industry?
Very good question. A good publicist, what I'm looking for is someone who really is familiar with the way it is supposed to be done, and also has knowledge on how it is done today. But to be old enough to understand, the way it's really done, and it's really about substance. It's really about the client, putting the client first, and then it's also about longevity, because this is a microwave society. Everything is instant. Everybody want to get what they want. But a good publicist is one that really wants to present their client in the best light, like being on this wonderful television show, and then to be able to see their client, moving on with other gigs as well. That's going to put them in the best light, and not just something that's immediate that can cause problems later on. The thing that's interesting is that lawsuits are going to be coming on later, and also so many other things that's going to reset the industry, because these companies, after a while, are going to say, wait a minute, this person is not qualified. They're saying a wrong thing. They're not pitching it right, which can lead to lawsuits. And then that's going to change things back to where, you have to be trained, you have to be signed, and then you have to know what you're saying so that people won't get in trouble and companies won't get sued. And that's what I look for in a publicist, to protect the client and to make sure things are in the best interest of the client. If you had me on a scuba diving show and I don't scuba dive, that's not a good publicist.
I like that. I'm under the premise that most things are going to reset once we're out of COVID. It seems like many people have taken advantage of the fact that, you can't really check on it like you used to. You can't really check on, if this person really knows or has the connections. You can't really check on if this actress or actor has as many credits. It's a lot of fraud seems to be going on. So I'm kind of thinking that after we come back out of COVID, things will start to reset itself. Yes.
I'm inclined to believe that. I see that it's a lot of good that has come out of COVID in the midst of the bad. But a lot of companies realize that they can save more money with people working at home, and they can be able to really be just as effective working at home. A lot of companies feel that way. But also, they also realize that, things are getting oversaturated. There's just too much saturation in a market. Everybody cannot be a model. Everybody cannot be a singer. I often have a lot of singers on the show. And yesterday I had Cheryl Cooley on the show, and we were talking about the difference between music of yesteryear and now. And it's no fault of really the kids now, but when they took music out of schools to fund the football team and all these other things, you hurt a lot of people. You hurt a lot of creativity. You hurt the next Jimi Hendrix and that next Whitney Houston. So a lot of those young people now, they had to learn how to use these sound machines opposed to playing a piano or guitar. And it watered things down a lot. And it took one person one day who got rejected for the last time as a model to say, you know what, I'm going to become a model, but I'm going to become a model my way. And that's by getting all these likes and showing my product line until the right person sees me.
You fancy yourself as someone that goes after what he wants. Everything you said you wanted to do, you went and did it. You want to do this show, you did it. You want to help these people that are disadvantaged based on their disease, you did it. So now I want to know what's next, because I'm trying to be a part of whatever you're talking about next. What's next?
Thank God. What I want to do, if the Lord say so, is I want to make my non-for-profit global, where we have facilities all over the world helping people with all sorts of illnesses and making dreams come true. If I can just have one person come back and smile and say, thank you, I'm so thankful and glad for what you've done. I never would have had this opportunity if it wasn't for you. I thank God for that. I would love to do that. And then also, I want to just see Essence Television like a own network or beyond, where there's some of the greatest programming and shows and just making people's dreams come true with quality content. For me, I'm a man that just loved the 60s and 70s music. You're talking about Smokey Robinson. You're talking about the Drifters. It goes on and on. I mean, when I was a kid, my mom used to play that, and it made me feel so good. As a kid, it was talking to the women. It wasn't talking about the women. It was, you turn around and you put on a record and be like, baby, I don't know how to say how I feel about you, but I think Teddy Pendergrass can tell you. That's the kind of television I want to have, where it's feel-good movies, not about somebody getting killed, but messages behind it. I want those all to be a part of Essence Television.
You want to take it back to when you used to make a mixtape for your girl or your dude, back in the day. You're like, oh, I like him. I'm gonna make a tape of some music and I'm gonna give it to him. So you can't do that now with this music. Now you make a tape now, and the dude or girl be like, what you talking about?
Bleep, bleep.
Beat, like, no, not that part of the song. You got to fast forward a little more.
Right, yeah.
I didn't mean that part. I got to stop there.
Yeah.
I love it.
Real quick, how has COVID affected your non-for-profit business? Because you said, I'm sure that's something that you really need to do in person, because you're teaching people how to do stuff. So how has COVID affected that aspect of your business?
Well, yeah,
or has it?
It has affected it greatly, because having a pre-existing condition as myself, you can't be around people like that. So you have to, just wait until things clear up, because I travel around the country and I like to teach students and individuals at different settings, performing arts places all over the world, to be able to teach them about the industry. And as one of the funny story, I remember out here, we were in Hancock Park. This was back in 2018, I believe it was. There was an event where they had invited me out, but there's a bunch of other celebrity people that came out as well, and they were teaching people about the industry. So people came from all over with their notebooks and pads to learn about the industry and take notes. So I was originally scheduled to go on at 10 o'clock, but a few of the speakers ran over. So the event was supposed to be over at 5. So they said, Sherard, we can only get you in at about 3, and it's going to be only about 15 minutes you can speak. I said, okay, I'll have to make what I have to do, make do with what I have. So by the time I was done speaking for that 15 minutes, the whole place was lined up to see me all the way out the door just to talk about and ask me questions about the industry. It was amazing. Over anybody else that was there, everybody was lining up to be able to hear more about what I had to say about the industry, and it was answering all their questions. I didn't leave there till about 8 o'clock, and I was supposed to be gone at 5.
Wow.
That's key, because I think a lot of times people just want the information. They don't want all the fluff. And a lot of times when people put on these kind of events, talking about stuff in the industry, the people that they have to come to talk are not really giving the people what they need. You know, I don't need to know how great your career is or how great you are and stuff like that. I need to know the ins and outs of how to get into the industry or what to do once I'm in the industry. And that's why I think a lot of times that happens. So that's a good testament to you, the person that you are. People wanted to hear because you probably were giving it to them, the realness. You came with realness, and that's what people want to hear, as opposed to all that other stuff.
I certainly tried.
Hey, I would love to ask you about the current climate of our culture, right? Especially with what you do. Weigh in on that for me, where we are as a people and how you deal with that on your show.
Well, you know, you find you have to evolve because the younger generation don't think like you think. And then many times they didn't have the advantages, or they have advantages you didn't have back in the day. You have to understand that there's certain things, like there's millennials out there, you know, that they just weren't born when the 9/11. You know, you think,
Right.
wow, you weren't born, but they just weren't. But when you look at the police brutality and the things that we're looking at in the news today, as a kid, when I was a kid growing up, I was always taught to love the police, the firefighters, the ambulance people, paramedics, etc. And I did. And then, you know, you get things change now where it seems like everybody hates the police or they're the enemy and things like that. There's two sides to each story, maybe three. But the thing is that, you know, police are there to do their job. Okay. A lot of police officers don't do the job right. And we know that. But you can find bad employees in everything you do. And it's unfortunate, believe you me. But the most of them do exactly what they're supposed to do. Thank God. But the thing is that young people have to learn in this generation, there's not that respect level that it was when I was growing up. Everybody's calling their elders by their first name. I remember getting popped upside the head many a times when you call an adult, and I'm a child, by their first name. Who are you?
Yes.
But it's always Ms. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, ma'am, this and this and that, and you were glad to do it. And then thank you and everything. How dare you say something disrespectful to an adult? The other thing is that has changed is that kids don't fear getting that behind tore up. Now, the Bible tells you you spare the rod, you spoil the child. I don't know where it came from, thinking that you can't spank that child anymore. It's unfortunate because some kids you can talk to, some kids you got to talk to through a belt. When I was growing up, I don't. As I'm a grown man now, I don't regret my dad and mom tearing my tail off. Not at all, because somebody's going to do it if you keep living. And you, I know you, Gail, being an officer, and you know, doing a great job as an officer. I know now you wish those parents did discipline those children so you all wouldn't have to.
Sherard, I say it all the time, and I always tell Tonya, this is my thing. People's kids are bad, and they need to realize that their kids are bad. You know, and that's what you're saying. The kids nowadays, young people nowadays, they don't fear anything. They don't fear authority, nothing, and that's a problem in and of itself. You know, and that's, you know, and that stems from, you know, I truly believe the parenting, a lack of parenting in some of these homes.
Hey, is that something that we can course correct on? You know, we talk about course correction in industries. Is there an opportunity to course correct on how we have come to a place where we want you to have a voice, but there's still a level of respect? I mean, I do mine, and they'll never call Gia. They can call her Miss Gia or Auntie or something, but they just will not call her, hey, Gia, you hungry? Like, what?
Yeah.
And is there an opportunity for us to still be a society where you can have an opinion and a voice, you just know how to express it with respect and not disrespect, and definitely not respect authority? Like, some of these people don't even respect their parents, less alone authority out in the streets. Not making a judgment on any cases right now, but in general, I've coached. Okay, so can't nobody tell me nothing about other people's kids. I've seen some of the best and I've seen some of the worst. But my question is, can we course correct as a people how we raise our children?
Well, the main thing is this. There needs to be more fathers in the households. These boys, they get big, they get taller than their mom. They're not scared of her anymore. So, but there needs to be a dad in these households that's going to knock that boy down, and then teach him how to deal with things as a man. When you have an alt with your brother, or one of your friends, one of the coolest things when I was growing up is you settle it in the boxing ring. That way it was settled. You lived to fight another day. It wasn't about planning a funeral because you all got into it about something so petty. And dads, when mama always say, listen, you better straighten up. I'm gonna tell your daddy when he get home. You straighten up. And the fact is that now, everybody thinks the solution is the permanent solution with a pistol. And you see, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Mrs. Sneed, these cats, they so tough until they get locked up. They so tough until they get arrested. All of a sudden, they this and this and that. But when they get locked up with those real men and those guys that are lifers and all that, they are the biggest punks.
Yeah, you're right. I see a lot, and that's the thing. Like you said, they're tough, but once they get caught up in the system or get locked up, they change. Their whole attitude changes, and they some of them in there crying and stuff like that. But jail is not a place. To me, it's not a place for them. It's not a place for a lot of people, but we have them. But I think if some of this, if parents would get back to parenting, get back to the basics and stuff, some of these young people wouldn't maybe be getting caught up in the system. And that's, I think, really social media has really is really a lot of the problem. If parents get off of social media and start parenting, stay off of TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, and start paying attention to their kids and teaching their kids some of the basic things and stuff, we wouldn't have to be dealing with a lot of their kids in the systems.
That is correct. Something about picking my own switch out, that just messed me up. I'm okay.
Exactly. I remember them days, go outside and get that switch, and you'd be like, and then what the cold part is, back in the day, we went outside and got the switch.
You're traumatizing me. You're re-traumatizing me right now. I can't, exactly. I can't do this with y'all right now.
And then your mom would turn around and say, okay, I'll give you a choice. Get a switch or extension cord. Thanks for the choice, Mom. Really, you're making it easy for me. Really?
No. How about don't bring me another little weak punk switch back out here, Bingo. Because then I'll go pick one.
Bingo. Okay. Yeah, so these kids need that because believe you me, a lot of those kids, if their parents just laid the hammer down, they wouldn't be where they are today.
Wow, it's a cold game. So listen, let us know what you have going on, what we can support. Let the people know where they can continue to follow you and follow your story.
They can. I appreciate that. They can go right to the Sherard Show. The Sherard Show on my name is S as in Sam, H as in Harry, E as in Edward, R as in Robert, A as in Apple, R as in Robert, D as in David. The Sherard Show. Just go to my page. You can always add me as a friend, or you can go to the Essence Network, SESSENSE, on your Roku or your Fire and add the channel. I try to have the best interviews of your life on there from, again, the Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonders, Manhattans, Joe Montega, Michael Collier, Rod Stewart, etc. On the show. I'm very thankful for that. But also some of the people who've just, done some big things from yesteryear. My show, I like to give people their flowers while they're still alive. So, you check it out. And then you can always hit me up, via Facebook, and I'd love to answer any questions, or even if you have a guest suggestion you would like to have me have on the show.
I love that. Thank you. Miss Gia, what's going on with you? Let the people know where they can follow you.
Well, you guys can always follow me on Instagram, The Mahogany Box, and on Facebook as The Mahogany Box. And this weekend I'll be down in Montclair at a pop-up, Mayday pop-up in Montclair. You can check me out there. I'll post the link, the flyer where I will be on Saturday, selling all my beautiful creative things that I've made. And then the following weekend, I'll be back at the Nothing But Black Flea Market in Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw Plaza.
I love this. I love these flea markets. Boy, I tell you.
I love it. So for me, you can always find me at Tonya McKenzie PR on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm playing the part of Commissioner McKenzie a lot these days with a lot of our anti-hate campaigns that are going on. So if you do have an anti-hate campaign going on, feel free to give me a call. Happy to speak. We do have a lot of nastiness going on today. My post on Instagram was really just, don't be a racist, a sexist, a mean person, and we good, right? Like, it's not that hard. And sometimes if you need to be a recluse or you need to be by yourself, it's fine. You don't have to suffer from FOMO, fear of missing out. Go get yourself together, re-enter society, and be nice, because we need more of that right now. It's way too much nastiness and negativity going on that divides us and keeps people from conversating and being together. And right now, we coming out of COVID. Look, we got to be together. So Sand and Shores on all media platforms, in the case that you need some social media or PR help. But for the most part, Mr. Sherard, so happy that you're here today. I'm so blessed. Ms. Gia can contest that we are just thrilled to be able to share the screen with someone that has such an illustrious career. You didn't buy it, you worked for it. And if you guys want to check him out, go to his page, go watch his show. I spent time over the last week looking at his stuff. So I have enjoyed. I am a new fan. And I really recommend, if you want to get back to basics, conversation, ethics, authenticity, old school feel good type of entertainment, take some time, lean in. He does a great job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate you ladies. Beautiful and very intelligent. Thank you.
Oh, we like you.
I know we like you. Come on back.
My goodness.
We like you. So until next time, you guys take it easy. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week.
Be safe. Bye.